Welcome to Wholesale Hotline, where we cover everything to do with wholesale real estate. I'm Jamil Damji.
I'm Brent Daniels.
And I am Pace Morby.
And together we cover the most important parts of wholesale real estate.
Lead generation.
Conversion of sellers into contracts.
And dispositions. Guys, remember when you're watching this show, do us a favor and squad up in the comments.
Make sure that you are liking and subscribing to the YouTube channels and in the Facebook group Wholesale Hotline.
Most important, we want to know we're doing a great job for you and helping you build your business. So go give us a review on iTunes and or Spotify.
So squad up and enjoy the show.
Wholesale Hotline number 91. Here we go. This might be a Jamil and Brent takeover. We're hoping Pace is going to join us. He's got some things going on in Las Vegas, making some moves. But we're excited. 91 shows. Can you believe it? 91 shows.
We are the same episode number as Brent's preferred age for ladies he likes.
That's it. I love him. My grandma's 90 as of next week. It's her 90th birthday. So Shout out to Marie Duffy and her 90th birthday next week. It's going to be amazing.
Happy birthday, Marie Duffy.
There you go. Let me ask you something.
Yes.
This is something I've been thinking about as everybody's jumping on, as we're warming this up. Guys, obviously we're going to need a lot of questions. We're going to need a lot of participation in the show. We really want to deep dive anything that you're dealing with out there in the field. Jamil and I are here for the next 100 and it would be 87 minutes left. So make sure that you put it in the comments here so that we can get to your questions. We want to answer them. But let me ask you something as we're warming up. And this is something that we've been really playing with in our business, but also with some of the content that we've been making or some of the podcasts that we're designing to go live in 2022 is the premise. The premise of the show, the premise of your business, the premise of, you know what I mean? Because it molds into the vision of your business. It molds into leadership. It molds into the people that you bring on and the culture that you create. But the premise being, what is this about?
Yes.
What is the point of this? What is this about? And obviously, surface level, we can go, let's get a deal.
Yep.
Let's get some income in. Let's replace our current income so that we can do this full time and really put our foot to the gas pedal when we have more time to do this full time and find the opportunities, build the wealth, right?
Totally agree.
That's it.
What's interesting that you say the premise, right? And for us at Keegley, it's our mission statement, right? It's being able to make sure that everything we do is intertwined with our mission, which is to conduct real estate in a heartfelt way.
Got it.
Right?
Yep.
And every person that we bring on, every hire, every deal, every decision that gets made has to follow through that filter.
Yeah.
Are we working through the foundation of love when we do this thing? When we do this thing, is this coming from the foundation of love? Are we being heartfelt right now, or are we not? And I had a student on one of my Astro coaching calls, and I'm not going to say her name. She's probably watching, and she's going to know I'm talking about her. But she is a couple of months in. Okay. She's doing real well with respect to getting opportunities. Oh my gosh.
What's up, Jerry?
What's up, Jerry Norton?
Jerry Norton, all the way from Puerto Rico. We're jealous. I see you out there in the surf all day and shotgunning lizards. We see you, Jerry. We see you, brother. Not only that, but obviously crushing it on the real estate side.
You're the best, Jerry.
So we miss you.
Yeah, boy.
We're just messing with you. We're just we miss you out here. Come on out soon. We're gonna have to get Jerry on here.
Oh my God!
Live from Puerto Rico.
Another one. Yes.
I think that would be a good thing to do.
We've had Jerry before.
Yeah.
But we need Jerry again.
Yeah, we'll get him back.
We want you to bring all of the iguanas that you've slaughtered.
All the pelts.
All the pelts.
What would it be?
I want him to wear it in a coat.
Yeah.
I want Jerry. What I want you to do is I want you to turn all those iguanas into a coat, and I'd like that coat for Christmas.
The Bluetooth keyboard, so that we could pick out some of these.
So
yes,
she says to me,
yeah,
She's in 4 transactions.
Yeah.
And they're all
Nice.
falling apart.
Oh.
Okay. Title issue, wholesaler problem, buyer problem, just things, we don't have the appropriate people signing. It was just, things that happen at title or things that happen in the process of closing a deal.
Yep.
You guys, I've said this before, but 40% of transactions will have title issues. So if you're not running the ball all the way across the finish line.
What do you mean title issues?
Well, deals fall apart once they've been contracted.
I'm giving you guys a guana wallet for Christmas. You better.
Awesome.
Love it.
So deals, getting a signed contract from a seller and then selling that deal to a buyer, we think that's the end of the game. It's not. 4 out of every 10 deals. 4 out of every 10 deals will have some form of title shenanigan that's going to need to get massaged or worked through in order for the deal to get across the finish line.
Right.
And out of those 4, 2 of them will fall apart.
80%.
80%
go through, 20%.
20% will fall apart at title.
Now that's a condition, right? That's not like an objection that the seller's having. That's not like somebody screwing it up.
Nope.
It's literally the title has some conditions that
Correct.
can't be met for the transfer in the time that you need to close.
Correct. So we can forgive the 20.
Right.
But we can't forgive the other 20 when they get dropped, right? So anyhow, sitting there having a conversation with this wonderful lady, and all of her deals are falling apart.
Okay.
And I ask her, well, what are you doing this for? What is your business about? What's the premise of why you're doing this?
Love it.
And her answer was, well, I'm really just want to wholesale some houses so I can get into fix and flip.
Okay.
Okay.
That makes sense.
Makes sense. But here's the thing.
Right.
So you're using wholesale to get into fix and flip, which means your heart's not in it.
Right.
Look, guys, if your heart's not in it,
it's tactical.
It's tactical, but it's too tactical.
Right.
This is a business of tactics, but it's a business of spirit.
Right.
1000%.
That's it.
You read Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich, and it's as esoteric as it is tactical. And what do I say by what do I mean by esoteric? I mean there's very lofty principles in there, right? That have a lot to do with what's going on inside of your heart.
Yeah.
And what's happening inside of your mind as thoughts. And so what I want to suggest is that when you're all thinking of the premise of what your business is about, find a way to include your spirits in that.
Well, and that goes to something that I love that you cracked that open, because it's profit and purpose, right? Now, listen, if you're going out and you've got a great purpose and you want to serve the community and you want to do everything, but you're not making profit, you're going to be super frustrated.
Of course you will.
You're not going to be able to last. It's not sustainable,
Yep.
right? But if you're getting a lot of profit and there's no purpose behind it, it's very hollow. It's very like what does it matter?
What does it matter? Right.
You start, and you see this a lot. You see a lot of people get numb to, well, we closed so many deals and I don't even know. And they, I used to get excited about this, but now I don't get that anymore.
They start collecting Lamborghinis.
They start collecting all sorts of things.
All sorts of things.
Right. To try to
wives.
But to fill that purpose.
Of course.
Right? To fill that hole of how do I get in there, and does this business, am I doing this business just to make money, or am I doing this business to serve the community? And that's a huge thing. And it
100%.
just depends on what your purpose is. And if your purpose is to go out there and really change the landscape of real estate in your community and help the people that won't help themselves, I think you're going to be more sustainable. I think you're going to be happier. And I think that's something that I think oftentimes kind of gets swept aside. Like hustle, profits, be successful, be the guy, be the gal, go out there, build these things. How's your head? How's your mind?
Right.
How's your happiness?
Right.
How's your family? How's everything? Right. I mean, you build up a huge business and then you get all this wealth and then all of a sudden you get divorced and it's half gone.
I mean, and
it's tough,
but it happens
It happens
many
all the
times.
time.
It happens all the time, especially when success starts to come your way. You're going to start to see, I was having a conversation with a good friend of mine who's popping in the music business.
Yep.
And we were talking on our way here and just about how people rearrange themselves when sort of things start to move and shake for you.
Yeah.
And so guys, understand that as the more success you get, the more you grow, the more you become a part or living in your purpose, the more the people around you are going to look at you in strange ways.
That's it.
We call it strange music.
Yeah.
It's
Strange music.
It's strange music because everyone's hitting you with strange music all the time.
Right.
No one's the same anymore.
Right.
So you have to be laser focused about your purpose on what you're doing, because like you'll start to lose friends, you'll start to lose family. Like people are going to be playing strange music for you.
Mm-hmm.
So either love what you're doing and be completely fulfilled for it, and then let the strange music play, or suffer.
Yeah. Well, you see, and honestly, you know, sometimes people put, you know, start this business and they're like, I just need to get my head above water. I need to get, you know, real estate. I see it. I've read Rich Dad Poor Dad. I feel it. I believe in it. It's important. But then it's like, well, you could do this. You could go, you know, do these Walmart shopping things, or you could do Amazon shopping things, or you could do crypto, or you could do this and this and this. It's not that they want to serve the community with real estate. It is, I want to make a ton of money and live a better life.
Right.
So, but I think that you need both. You need profit and you need purpose.
100%.
I really do.
You know what Ingrid had to just say? She said her purpose is to help people solve their problems. She doesn't even focus on the checks. They just come. You know what? That's chopping wood and carrying water.
That's
if I've ever heard it, seen it in actual practice, Ingrid, that is the right attitude.
Yeah. It means talk to people. I love that you're on here. I am so happy that you posted that. I really am. TTP stands for talk to people. It is the foundation that we build real relationships with property owners in town. This is how we have quality conversations with people in distressed situations, so that we have that posture, right, of clarity and discipline, and going out and having good quality conversations with those property owners so that we can solve their problems. So it's just a proactive, it's kind of a mantra. You know what I mean? Talk to people, talk to people, talk to people. If you focus, the only time that you're not going to succeed in this business is if you're being quiet. If you're just sitting behind and you don't have that confidence, and you're not going out there and helping the people, because a lot of people have their head in the sand and they don't want to make decisions, or they're not good at making decisions. So we need to step into their lives and bring the energy, bring that light, bring the solutions to their problem, which usually comes in the form of a cash offer for their property that they want to get rid of. And that's what we do. So TTP, talk to people, just boom, 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 boom. I always found that in my life is always better when I'm talking to people consistently, and I'm not just living inside my own head. We are designed to go out and serve the community. We're designed to go out and serve each other. It's tough to do that if you're always constantly working inside. At some point, you need to be able to go outside and serve other people. It's always great to work on your mindset, but don't get stuck in that, because a lot of people get real selfish, and maybe it's necessary depending on what you've gone through in life. But after you've done that self-work, go out and really serve the community. I'm telling you, that'll show a lot more about who you are than just thinking about it and just, you know, kind of going through the loops that we go to mentally sometimes when we've gone through some sort of hardship or gone through some sort of bad situation.
You know, it's funny, if you boil it all down, the answer to many questions, problems, can be TTP.
Yeah, talk to people.
If you're feeling away, if you're down, what's the answer? TTP.
Yeah.
If you have no money, how do you get some money?
Yeah.
TTP.
Yeah.
If you're looking for leads, how do you get leads? You TTP.
Yep.
You need to sell your deal. How do you get that happen? You TTP.
Yep.
You literally, what essentially needs to happen is, in order for you to get to the next step in anything in life, it's talk to somebody.
That's it.
Talk to people.
Well, there's a great
Expand
Tim Ferriss quote, and I'm not a huge Tim Ferriss guy. I think the 4-hour work week is bullshit, but I do. But I think Tim Ferriss had a great conversation that said everything that you want is in somebody else's mind. It's already in somebody else's mind, right? So what is the pickaxe to get into those things that you want? Are questions. Questions are the pickaxe that get into people's minds, because there's so many people that have experience that are willing to share it with you if you're brave enough to go and ask them. And that's the point of the show. And that's the point. Really, the point of all of this show is for everybody to squad up, especially now. I wanted to talk about this because I think it's a hot topic, and you posted about it on your Facebook and Instagram. But assignments coming under
Fire.
the microscope a
Yep,
little bit, right?
Yep.
So talk to me about that.
Well, guys,
Where do you see the next 5 years?
I think that essentially assignments are going to start to get outlawed in more and more and more and more markets across the country.
Okay.
And here's the reason why. Okay. What an assignment allows somebody to do is conduct business in a loophole.
Yep.
The loophole being I
don't have money.
I don't actually have the money to do this deal.
Right.
Right? That's what they're trying to close up. Now, the thing that they're not realizing is that a double escrow will serve that purpose anyways.
Of course.
We'll fill that gap anyways. So guys, don't
Wouldn't a
worry.
joint venture?
Or JV would also,
right?
There's
Astro with people that have the money.
You JV, you get an option on a deal, or you can JV with me that I've got the money and I can use my proof of funds to help you get the deal under contract. There's so many ways around the situation.
Yeah.
Ultimately, though, because they know that these assignments are, it's not foolproof that that people, just because we outlaw assignments, that people will actually have the funds to enter into these contracts.
Right.
So what they want to do is they want to introduce licensing.
Yep.
So that if you do enter into a contract without the appropriate funds being available, you can get sanctioned because you're now under a board of regulations.
Right.
All they want to do is put wholesale into a regulatory board.
Sure.
And I think that it's going to happen. Yes. And yeah, Jerry, you're 100% right. Assignments are in trouble as a business practice. Double closes are going to pick up.
Yep.
So guys, start getting familiar with how double closes work.
Do you mind if we put it on the board?
Not at all.
Right?
Yeah.
So keep talking. I'm going to get this set up and we're going to talk about what a double close means.
So now, guys, a double close essentially is when you've got an A to B contract. So between you and your homeowner or your seller. And then you have a B to C contract, which is a contract between you and your buyer. Okay. The wholesaler is B in all these contracts. Now, what ends up happening is your end buyer's funds are going to flow through your contract with the end buyer, and they're going to fund the contract between you and the homeowner. That's essentially how a double close works. So the funds from the end buyer will actually close the original contract. And that's totally okay thing to do. In fact, many businesses do it. In fact, national home builders often use double closings from parcels that they piece off when they're buying big chunks of land. They'll use funds from other buyers that they've sold off portions of their land to in order to close their original deal.
Do we have a mic over here? No, we don't. Okay, didn't expect this. Okay, so guys, will you put the camera on here? Yes. You can see that, and Jamil and I can talk about this. There you are. You're the powerful wholesaler right here, right? You. That's you. This is your cash buyer or partner.
Right.
Right? The point of this show, the premise of this show is squad up.
Correct.
2 words.
Correct.
Squad up. People call it networking. We call it squatting up because we're all on the same team. We're all pushing for the same goal, which is to help our communities, right? So here it is. You've got your cash buyer, you've got you, and you've got the homeowner, property owner. Right? They want to sell. They want to sell this property. You go and you get a purchase contract here, right? Purchase agreement between you and the property owner. Okay. Now you've got the right to purchase this property. Your partner or your cash buyer now wants to purchase this property. What happens, Jamil?
Well, the funds are going to flow through. They're going to flow through this right here, and then they're going to flow over here. And the difference between what you bought it for and what you sold for is going to go into right there.
Into your pockets. There it is. There it is. So guys, you're going to see this more and more and more. We've been talking about it for over a year and a half on the show. You need to have a financial partner. You need to have the confidence going. I'm telling you, it is night and day. And I'm just telling you this personally. I remember going out and I was like, I don't have the money. I can't just go tell people I'm going to buy this and feel good about it. I feel like I'm lying. And then Derek Jarr, who owned, Green Street and everything's like, I'll be your backer.
Right.
And it was floodgates.
Game changer.
Floodgates.
Yep.
Went bananas. Now he he made really nice profits off me.
Great.
But which is fine.
Which is totally fine.
To the point where I was at a position where I had enough in my account, and I had with Iman, I had a whole line of hard money that I could use.
Right.
So I am now the buyer.
Right. Excuse me.
Now, with that supreme confidence, I stand here before you guys.
Mr.
For
TTP,
real.
yes.
It's TTP, because I'm telling you, there is something about going there with the confidence knowing that you can close on that deal if you have to.
Right.
And I think it gives you more discipline that if you have to, if you're going to put your hard-earned money into a deal, you make sure that you negotiate an actual deal. Not I hope it does. I'm going to blast it and hope. I hope somebody is going to buy this. I hope somebody wants to live next to this person or whatever else.
Well, it's funny. I got a DM today from somebody who went and locked up a deal. They're not obviously learning how to comp or do any of the things, because they sent me a house and I said, hey, thanks for sending this. I think the ARV is this the ARV is 430. You should go lock this thing up at 320.
Right.
And well, he has it locked up at 430.
Right.
Okay. And it's in complete, it's like trashed.
Right.
It's just, they've ripped out all the carpet. It needs everything.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So I explained that and I said, hey, so you have it contracted at ARV, so it doesn't work. About 45 minutes pass and I get another message and it says, do you know anybody that would want to buy it?
No.
So again, would you buy it?
Right.
Right? Would you, if
that's the filter I put
thing,
everything through,
would you buy it? And I think that's the thing to think about. But also, guys, I want you guys to know this, but I'm putting together a wholesale hotline proof of funds.
Do it.
I
love it.
Personally,
guys, put some thumbs up or some flames or something. I don't know. Let's get some participation on that.
Yeah.
That's bananas.
So we're going to be
some bananas.
We're putting a website together. You guys can, put in your property address. You put in the numbers, and if we like the deal, we're not backing the deal. We're not gonna, blindly back it, but we will give you a proof of funds that will allow you. And we might buy it if the deal, once we look at it a little bit deeper and we underwrite it.
Yeah,
we might buy the deal. So guys, that is going to be powerful for you because you're going to get a proof of funds from me personally.
I love it.
Be backing your transactions.
Love it.
And all you'll have to do is go to a website and request a proof of funds.
I think that's
going to be incredible.
Squatting up.
That's squatting up.
Squatting up.
Yep.
That is it. Guys, make sure another banana for the fruit basket. So I go Raphael on our live show on Wednesday, because Raphael's took over Mike Mahoney's spot.
Oh, wow.
And I go, I'm tired of the cliche tool in the toolbox. It's just a cliche. Everybody uses it. So I was like, Raphael, come up with something better. Came up, it's another banana in the fruit basket.
Perfect.
Terrible.
So fitting for
terrible. And then he said another bean for your bean burrito. He did that too. I was like, I don't know. Whatever you want to do. It all makes sense. Raphael's wild. Anyway, guys, listen, as we are approaching 2022, in my mind, with my company, everybody's getting licensed for sure. Everybody's pretty much all, I've got a couple. I need to get the other two guys licensed. That's number one. Number two.
Everybody laughed at me for that in the beginning. You remember that?
I know.
Just saying.
Yeah. No, I know. And then the second is, you need to be able to squat up with people that have the funds, people that can perform on these deals, and your confidence is going to go up. You can still do a double close or something like that. I don't think assignments are going to evaporate in the next 6 months, maybe even not even a year, but down the line, it's going to happen, right? Because there's too much. There is attention on bad actors that go in and really do a bad job and claim a lot of things and cancel on people that are already moving, and it throws off the whole family, and people get pissed.
They do.
And that's not the industry that we want to be a part of.
Now, Jerry Norton and I have been talking in the background, and he's really interested in spearheading a regulatory board where we're involved. Yeah. And so, guys, hats off to Jerry Norton. If you're still here, Jerry, for spearheading the wholesalers actually creating their own board, their own regulatory board, so that we can operate ethically, but also operate in standards and practices that so that we can self-govern ourselves.
Well, I think that everybody thinks that this is too good to be true, right? This whole business. And it felt like that when I first got my first assignment check. I was like, oh my gosh, this is crazy. You don't have to have a license. You don't have to like do anything. You just go and put an offer and sell this offer. And this is the greatest business of all time.
Of all time.
Right?
Yes.
But then you can go out there and just completely fraudulent and say that you could buy this property when you can't.
Right.
So you can't have this amazing thing and have people out there or go out there in an industry where people are going to look at that and it's not going to line up. It's going to sound too good to be true. And so there's going to be more to it. There's going to be a meeting with his lawyer.
Yeah. See, guys, he's coming out of his pocket.
But let me tell you this, and I want to pound this table, but I know
Yep.
it screws up the audio for the podcast. So, guys, if you guys have not checked out the podcast, make sure that you do. I just hired somebody that's going to really ramp this thing up. So it's going to be phenomenal. One of Daniel and Matt's friends. It's going to be really, really great. We're excited to have him on there. So it's going to be better. Okay. I know it's been kind of a pet project. It's going to be better. We're taking it seriously. It's going to be great. So make sure that you guys are subscribed to that podcast and are putting in some reviews. That really helps us. But I want to pound and say there's so much opportunity. Like this is best. This is really good for everybody on this show. This is really good for everybody watching this.
Yep.
This is so good because this is sustainable. This is something that can go for a long, long, long time. And it is recognized as being not in the gray area, but a legit standardized, boom, done. And we can make an absolute fortune from it. Everybody on here can. It doesn't change our progress. I mean, it doesn't change our ability to generate leads, convert those leads, and then decide what we want to do for disposition and exit strategy.
Correct.
None of that changes. None of that changes. The only thing that changes is the bad actors get squashed out and more opportunities pop up, and we're going to win big time. I see huge advances in my wholesaling business over the next year to 5.
I want to just clear something up. You're not a bad person because you don't have money to buy a deal.
No.
That doesn't make you a bad actor. What makes you a bad actor is not running your comps, writing offers on properties that you aren't really making sure the numbers make sense on, not squatting up with people and getting help to make sure that you can actually fulfill on your promise, and then not communicating with your sellers when things are going wrong.
I love Robert right here. I love this.
What does Robert say? Robert says, I don't lie to the seller. They know I'm not buying the property or that I'm not going to close in 10 days. Amazing, Robert. Yeah. He just goes in there and he's legit.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, RJ Bates said it best, right? When he was on Hotline last week, he says he just is completely honest all the time.
All the time.
To a fault.
All the time.
He says he never wants to have to think about or worry about having to remember a lie. So he's just constantly telling the truth to his sellers, and it never has served him in a bad way.
Yep. Let's look at this. Austin, hey guys, how do you have the conversation with the seller on how much the assignment fee is going to be? I'm going to start my first cold calling tonight. Wish me luck. Thanks. Well, with the seller is concerned of what price you're going to be giving them, Austin. All right. So it is between you and the cash buyer on what you want to make. Now, if you want to go and tell the seller, hey, listen, I sold it for this price, you can do that. Most people just get it to closing and get it done. You know, most of the time it confuses the seller if you go in and you go, oh, I actually sold it to this guy and this is how much I make.
Yeah.
On an assignment fee, if you're going to do an assignment, that doesn't need to be disclosed to the seller. Check with your local state, but does anywhere have that it's required that you disclose the assignment fee to the seller?
Specific states, yeah. Certain states, they have to be disclosed, but that gets disclosed at title. It's not your job.
No, it is.
You know, Austin, I want to really double down on what Brent just said. Your deal with a homeowner is your deal with the homeowner. That's the price you're buying. Your exit strategy is no one's business. Let me ask you this. When Apple is coming out with a new product, do they discuss that product with everybody before they come out with it? Do they talk about it to anybody? Do they tell anybody about their profits? No, they don't. They don't say nothing until it's already happened, right? That's business. That's very normal in business to happen, where when you're in business, you keep your business practices to yourself, and it's totally acceptable to do that. Your exit strategies are your prerogative. So again, it's not being dishonest by not communicating to a seller that you are how much you're assigning for. Again, what's honest is making sure that you have a financial partner that is backing you if you're going to write an offer, first and foremost. Second, that you've done the homework and that you know the price that you're offering the seller is the right price to make the deal work. So you're not going to just unnecessarily cancel on a seller and waste their time. And then C, if you are writing an offer on a contract or on a house, that you know that your plan is not to then go and renegotiate and try to, do something crazy to the seller. That's what we're talking about here. We're talking about just having proper ethics with how you're moving and shaking in the business.
Yeah. Yeah. Love it. I mean, it's not like you're like, oh yeah, I'm going to put this much in and flip it for this and get this profit. You don't even know.
You don't know.
The market could change
and
in the next 90 days.
Of course, for instance, when I'm doing a fix and flip, I have no idea how much we're going to end up spending on that house.
Yep. Love it. This is classic, right? Because they feel like they got ripped off. Trying to explain wholesaling to my dad, and he was outraged that wholesaling is a thing. Because a lot of people here's the fundamental misunderstanding about what we do is people often forget who determines value in all things when it comes to transactions. It's not the market, it's not a real estate agent, it's not the seller, it's not an appraisal, it's not the government, it's not the county, it's nobody. The only person that has the power to determine what a property is worth or anything, anything, your shirt, is a ready, willing, and able buyer.
The buyer.
People go, oh, he bought that for $100,000, but it's worth $250,000. Yeah, it needs $80,000 worth of work. Like one of the tough things, and this is an analogy that I always think about. If you bought what's a really nice like Mustang, like a 64 or 63,
67 fastback.
67. You buy that, right? In 67, you put it in a garage, you baby that thing. You love that thing. You juice it. Like this is your thing. And I go and I'm like, it's a car. I'm going to just put it at the cabin and just like put it under whatever. And I'll drive it around when I want to. And then all of a sudden a leak comes in and I'm like, whatever. I'm dealing with other stuff, and then all of a sudden, mice get in, they start eating up stuff. And then the, salt and sand and all sorts of, whatever comes up. And this car is like destroyed. My car is not worth your car.
Nope.
It's not.
Nope.
Somebody has to buy that car, put the money into it, and then sell it. Everybody's fine with that, by the way.
Right.
Every like person,
no one has a problem.
Is like, oh yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
But when it comes to a house,
right?
People are like, well, on Zillow, it's $250,000. Have you walked through this house?
It's the difference between equity and potential.
Equity
and potential, guys. We are not stealing equity because we're not buying pretty houses. The equity doesn't exist yet. The equity doesn't exist until we add money to the project or to the property and create new equity. And all we do as wholesalers is sell a bit of that potential.
That's it.
Your father shouldn't be outraged, because if he understood that all we're doing is selling a potential profit, not actual equity, I think that he's still misunderstanding the concept of what we do. I'd love to talk to your dad, by the way, whoever that was.
JD? Yes, but usually when you disclose to the time. Wait, what just happened? That wasn't the one I put on. Where's the one? Have you had a situation where the seller wants the title? There it is. What are you doing to me, Matt? Stop messing around. Oh, okay. Have you had a situation where a seller wants to only use the title company of their choice?
Oh yeah, all the time. But here's the thing: as a buyer, and especially when we're doing wholesale transactions, it's pretty customary that we offer to pay all closing costs on those offers. On cash offers, how often would you say you offer to pay all closing costs?
Every time.
Yep. And so since I'm using that as a negotiation, and since I'm offering to pay all closing costs, wouldn't it make sense that we use my title company, because I get a discount at my title company and I get perks at my title company? And also it's always buyer's choice.
Right.
So yes, I've had that situation, but I can very easily explain to a seller that, listen, since I have offered to pay all closing costs, I need to get my discount, and I also need to get my perks from my title company. So we have to use my title company if you want me to pay the thousands of dollars in closing costs that I offer to pay. And every time they say fine.
Love it.
The only time that they won't agree is if there's a trust or if it's a probate and title work is already started at another title company.
Yep.
Then in those circumstances, they're right. I have to keep it at that first title company. But then what I'll do is I'll double close. I'll open up the file, the BC file, at at a different title company, and they will work with the AB title company, and we'll still do the exact same thing, just at 2 separate title companies. Did you know you could do that?
Yeah, that was always that was like, wow. I remember the first time that I saw that, and I was like, wait, you're buying this deal, but you're closing it at a different title company. It's both at the same time. They're communicating, and they're like, yeah. Oh,
That's actually how you get around double closing a REO.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, first of all, REOs are usually not the best deals, in my opinion.
Well, they haven't been in the last 7 years in Phoenix.
REO means the bank took it
bank owns
back.
it, yeah.
And what happens is the real estate agent lists it, and they can only take a certain percentage of that list price for certain designated times. So the first 30 days, it's like 97% or 91% or whatever. And then the next 30, blah, 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 blah. So it gets a little bit tricky. And once it hits the market, usually it gets bid up if it's a smoking hot deal.
I love this question.
Okay.
You go ahead.
Dylan, what do you do when seller says the repair cost is much less than what you estimate? All the time.
I mean,
all the time.
The sellers never
all
know.
the time.
So I just start asking, oh yeah, so what are you paying nowadays for a floor installation? What are you paying for paint?
Yeah.
How much do you pay your painters per square foot?
Yeah.
Just questioning, because like if you got better trades, then I'd like to talk to them.
Yeah.
But the facts are, is everything's gone up. Everything's expensive. And sellers, they're not in the business of doing this. You're doing this at scale. You're doing this for a business, and your numbers are your numbers.
Yeah.
Look, real estate agents, wholesalers, and sellers love to quote the following as an estimated rehab.
Do it.
$5,000 to $10,000.
That's it.
Paint and carpet. 5 to 10K.
5 to 10. Yep. What about the cabinets that are hanging off?
My gosh.
What about the garage?
Nothing costs 5 to 10K.
What about the garage door that's not working? What about the roof that's the crumbling off? Here's the thing, Dylan. You gotta make sure, and Jamil did a really tactful approach there. You don't want to argue, right? Because if you argue with them and tell them that they're wrong and convince them that they're wrong, it's going to add friction to the conversation. So I think in this times, what I've done, what Ryan, my acquisition manager, does is get to the point where like, this is the best that we can do based on our cost, because we're not going to go in here and do it ourselves. We have people that do this, and we've been taking down a lot more properties and putting some rehab. So this is a real conversation. This isn't just us tactically negotiating here. The costs are up. The costs are up, and because we're not going to do it, this is the price that makes sense to us. This is the best we can do. Is this something that, and classic Steve Trang, right? Is this something that you could do, or probably not? Right? You kind of pull away at the end, and it seems to work out fine. We don't argue with them. We say, you know what, you could probably do it for 15, 20K, but we just can't. Like we just don't have, the same people that you have, or this, be able to do it ourselves. But what I can do is I can get you 212,000 cash as is, and you don't have to worry about this property anymore. Is that something you would consider, or probably not? And then we get these deals.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Love it. Best CRM for wholesalers. Have you had any problems using a simple contract, people luring up and getting out before closing? Mark, no. The CRM that I used. Go ahead. Go with the space there. As I'm screwing around.
No, I love it. I want you guys to see Brent's CRM.
Here's the CRM. This is what I did my first $1 million in wholesale transactions from these two guys. And I'll never get rid of these. I'm going to cover them in gold and someday. You know what I mean? I'm going to dip them because they were literally filled with gold. Yeah, it's an accordion. Yeah, they're accordion binders. Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Yes, you need to frame them up and put them on the wall.
For sure. But here's the thing, Mark. A lot of people get lost in a CRM. And I think until you start hiring people and really have to keep accountability. I think CRMs are a really, really good way for creative avoidance to creep into your life, because creative avoidance is that thing that's like, oh, and instead of calling that lead right now, let me tinker with this CRM so that I can send automatic messages to the dead leads or whatever else, right? Or something. Or you go down the rabbit hole of YouTube and you're like, oh, what's the best CRM for real estate? And then, oh, look how powerful and all this stuff that it does. Let me be factual. Let me tell you, this man right here, he got on his phone every single day and he talked to every real estate agent and he talked to every cash buyer and he went, did you have a CRM?
No.
Did you have it? Right?
No.
Until
never.
when? Until when?
I never used it. Keegley started and then they were like, okay, we got to systemize you because this is crazy.
Right.
And that's when Josiah and Hunter interviewed me and then got my process and then automated it and turned it in.
Right.
Then we started using Podio.
Sure.
But no, I did millions of dollars in business from just my phone and writing stuff down on a piece of paper.
Yeah.
I tell that to people all the time. Don't overcomplicate this. If you're not a computer person, don't bother.
Yeah.
Just write it down.
Even if you are a computer person, I would say get the discipline of having enough leads to where you're overwhelmed to where you finally need it. But I would have like 200 to 300 leads in these binders. And this is January through December. So I would pull out all the leads that I needed to call in November. I'd pull them out and then I'd put them through 1 through 31 in those days. And then I would call on those days and I would call on those days and I write notes and I call on those days and write notes. Oh, end of the month. Boom. That's out. December's in. Boom. That's that simple. Like $1 million worth. And I didn't worry about losing leads. I didn't worry about doing my lead follow-up. I was always on task all the time. I did not lose deals from lack of follow-up for sure, or things slipping through the cracks. So I think that we get excited about technology, but I think the number one thing is we need to build the discipline of talking to people. We need to build the discipline of being on the phone.
For me, I would be my brain would just remind me as well, like, oh, I got to call Susie.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Monique Walker. She's going to have something for me sooner or later here. Yep. I'm telling you guys, it's we don't need to make this difficult.
I have seen it time and time and time again. The best wholesalers in the beginning don't overthink it. Progress, not perfection, just like just like Tom Kroll has been saying for years and years and years.
Old Tom Kroll.
No, I mean, like, progress, not perfection. Like, take the action. That's the whole thing about being like a rhinoceros. It's just take action, just move forward, get the momentum going, and then figure it out. And then hire people that are way smarter than you to build these systems out. So there you go.
I love Arturo's question there.
Yep.
Yes. Jamil, what can I say to realtors to help them understand I'm not the enemy? Woo! Well, first and foremost, Arturo, I think you need to be really clear about the type of property that you're asking the agent to work with you on, right? So my pitch is, let's just pretend it's you, Brent.
Yep.
Hey, Brent.
Yep.
Jamil here.
Yep.
I heard you're like the best real estate agent in all of Arizona, and I got to ask you a question. Have you come across a house that just gives you nightmares, like you have to throw your shoes out when you walk through the property?
Yeah.
I'm looking for that kind of house. I need the worst, crummiest project that you could possibly find. I've got guys that are ready to go work at Home Depot.
Yeah.
If I can't keep them occupied on a project, do you have anything coming to market that hasn't hit the MLS yet that I can take a look at?
Right.
I'd love to be your cash buyer. I know that deal won't finance, so bring it to me so I can close it for you fast. What do you got?
Yeah. I don't have anything now, but what do I just text you when I run across something?
Do me a favor.
Yeah.
My phone number came up on your phone.
Yep.
Can you save me right now on your phone as
Yep.
Jamil has all the money?
I love it. Jamil has all the money.
And I'm going to give you a
How
call.
do you spell that?
Jamil
There it
has
is.
all the money.
There it is.
I'm going to call you back in 7 days and just to check in to see what you got. But if you have an address, give it to me right now so I can take a look and comp it just so I make sure I've got the money available.
Right.
You got something?
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you have an address?
Yeah.
Give it to me.
110 East
Look,
Coronado. Yeah.
I might have
something.
It's simple. That's the pitch. You're not the enemy because you're the buyer. You're the client. How could you ever be the enemy, Arturo?
Here's the other thing, Arturo, that I think comes up because playing both sides, being a wholesaler and being a real estate agent for so long. Let me help you understand something about real estate agents. Not all of them you want to work with. So if they stiff arm you, if they're snotty to you, if they're asking you to sign some non-compete or buyer broker agreement or all of these things, or they're just not being cool, they're just not being friendly, move on. Just consider it like a distressed property owner that's like, I've gotten 20 calls today about this house. Leave me alone. It's the same energy as those agents that are, whatever, they're taken back or they don't like investors or they, whatever else. Move on. Move to the next one. The problem we have is we talked to 5 real estate agents in a row. They're not giving us all these warm, fluffy feelings. And we're like, screw real estate agents. They're all the worst and I hate them. And Jamil on the back door is going through 500 agents to find the 12 that he's going to get $1 million worth of business for this year. So it's building up that thick skin and understanding, listen, we're interrupting their lives. We're trying to get into their lives. We're trying to bring value, but if we can't, move on.
100%.
Yeah.
I think the key here though to remember is you're the client.
Yes.
You're the client. You're calling as the client. They offer a service. You're the client for that service. Right?
This is great.
Oh yeah, you get this one, bro.
Yeah.
Elena.
That's
a cool name.
I love that. Elena Lane. I have a seller who just want me to pay $15K in back taxes, and he would sign a quick claim. At what point should I look for buyers? I don't have $15K, but don't want to be signed out of the deal. First of all, here's the thing. Anytime that you hear them say quick claim deed, we don't need to go to the title company. We don't need to go through that. They're going to steal your money.
Yes.
And they don't own the property.
Yes. Run.
For real. Like, even if their name comes up as that, or they say that they're that, I mean, what are you going to do? You're going to ask them to see their ID? You're going to ask them to do an identity statement like the title company does? Anytime somebody goes, listen, give me the money and I'll give you this deed, run away. They're just going to steal your money. They're just messing with you. They've had a lot of calls. They're probably wrong number calls. And they're like, okay, let's play this back, right? Let's hit them back a little bit. So, yeah, Miss Lane, I would avoid that at all costs.
Ahmad said, question to Jamil, what market should I choose as a new wholesaler? Does it have to be the state where I live? And up to how many markets can I wholesale in? Ahmad, thanks for the question. I think it's always best to start where you live. I think you know the area, you know the neighborhoods, you know the pricing. It's easier for you to get to live networking events and to go out and meet people and shake hands and do things. But can you do this business amazingly virtually? Heck yeah. I know so many people that are crushing it virtually. So don't let that pigeonhole you. Find a market that you feel comfortable with, that you feel confident about, and has at least 500,000 people in it.
Love it.
Okay, don't go play around in small little markets or in rural areas, because it's going to be harder to find cash buyers there. Yes, there's business being done in smaller markets, but I think if you really want to do this at scale, you got to go play in the crowd.
Yep, for sure.
And how many markets should you work in? I think go into one, get really solid in one market before you start working in another one.
I like this question. Jonathan asks, hey,
hi.
How would you go about negotiating lower rates from your title company in order to reduce costs of double closing?
Great question.
Thanks again, guys. A couple different things. You can do what's called a hold open policy. So when you close on that deal, they're going to keep that title policy open, so you're not paying for it twice. The other thing is you get investor rates.
Yep.
So they have investor rates for people that bring them consistent business. It makes sense for them to give people that, homeowners are going to see the title company maybe 3 times, 5 times in their entire life. Well, we could see them 3 to 5 times this week. You know what I mean? So the title companies, they're like, oh man, like we need to give these guys some sort of reduced costs so that they make more, so that they keep coming back. So one, Jonathan, the conversation goes, and this is when you start bringing them deals. If you go in, you've never done a deal with them, and you start negotiating with them, you're not coming from a real position here, right? And it just feels gross. Like you're trying to negotiate against somebody that you haven't even provided them value. So I would say once you start going and having the conversation, just say, if we're doing a lot of business, how can we reduce the cost per deal so that we can put more money into our business to bring more deals to you? title company. Remember, it's all about the other person. It's that whole thing across the forehead. If you look at everybody with MMFI, make me feel important. MMFI, right? If it's just printed across their forehead, MMFI, make me feel important. That's what everybody through their eyes is looking at you, and that's what they're feeling. That's what they want. And if you make those title company and those people and those sellers and the cash buyers and everybody feel important, you're going to be unstoppable. You're going to be absolutely unstoppable. And I think you do it better than anybody.
With real estate agents.
With everybody. I mean, I think that you've got that. I think you've got that whole vibe. You know what I mean?
The spice melange.
Well, listen. Yeah, you got the spice melange, a little Dune reference. I love that. I love those books. I read the pants off those books. Anyway, but you do. I think, you've got to the point where you're making everybody feel special, and you're traveling around the world making people feel that way. You know what I mean? That is, I think, your superpower. You know what I mean? People feel the energy. They feel what you would call the vibration, or I would call, I believe that as well.
Yes.
It's that vibration that you have of make me feel important.
Because you are.
Yeah. If you're going there, if you listen, there is a difference between influence and manipulation. Right? Like, influence wins long term. Manipulating, maybe you could get your kids to eat the last broccoli or whatever else. Maybe you could, get something done, but it's not long term. People want to be influenced. Make me feel important.
I love that, Brent.
Aloha. Thank you.
All right. Deanne, I'm so sorry, guys. I'm squinting. Deanne said,
my mom's name.
Is it?
Yeah.
Beautiful name.
Yep.
Any advice for people whose strong point is not talking to people?
Yes.
For example, those who are introverted.
Yep.
Oh my gosh.
Yep.
I'm gonna speak to this.
Go for it.
So I was in, I believe it was Central Florida with Pace.
Mm-hmm.
And we were in a room of TTP, Sub 2, and Astro students.
Mm-hmm.
And we essentially divided the room out between people who had considered themselves like visionary types, and people who would consider themselves more integrator types. If you haven't read the book Rocket Fuel, read it, and that'll kind of give you an understanding of what you are.
Right.
Most introverted people, or people that love systems, that love to get like into the minutia of details, you're more of an integrator, right? Yeah. Well, here's the thing. Visionaries like Brent and I, we're a dime a dozen.
Yep.
We are idea people. We're slick talkers, right? But we need people like you to systemize us, to organize us. Keegley doesn't become Keegley just on Jamil's back. It needs Josiah Grimes. It needs Hunter Runyon. It needs their systemization. It needs their sophistication and process so that we could scale to the company we became. If it was in my hands, we'd still be, nobody would, I wouldn't even be here. Nobody would know us.
No.
If it was only me, because we wouldn't have been able to grow that way.
Right.
And so, Deanne, what I want you to understand is you have so much leverage. You have so much to offer the space. So what you do is squat up with people. Tell people I'm highly organized. I'm sophisticated in my processes. I hate talking to people, but I would love to generate leads for you. Do that. Do that. Be a puzzle piece.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, you've got Hunter, you've got Josiah. They're not on here.
No,
they're not. They're not out all the time. They're not out, really spreading the word.
People barely know who they are, right? But I'm telling you guys, without them, it doesn't happen.
And they make okay money?
They, as much as I do.
Exactly. So that's the point. Just because your strength falls in somewhere else, squat up with somebody that has the other side. Right. That's the benefit of bringing that on. Or if you get to the point where, or maybe you have a nest egg, maybe you can hire somebody that is gregarious, or that is going to go and talk to people and feel comfortable with it, and naturally into like sales and into, and is self-motivated, and they're going to go out and they're going to do their thing. But typically when we're starting out, that's why people get partners, and you find people that have benefits that you don't have, but you can bring your benefits to the table. And
I'd be careful. I love what Jared's saying. Jared, you're such a beautiful person. He's offering to say, hey, Deanne, reach out to me. Let me help you in role play. But I want to add to that, Jared. And for anybody else out there who's listening to this, you don't have to be what you're not. You don't have to be who you're not. You can be who you are and double down on your skills and double down on the things that you're great at, and work with folks like Jared, work with folks like Brent, work with folks like Munif and Pace, and be the backbone of those operations. Be that. Be that. You don't have to change your skin.
Yeah, Jared's crushing with those role plays in TTP.
He's so
They've been
good.
doing it.
But see what works for you.
I get that. There's always something inside, and this is just me. This is because I'm going to talk to people, guy, and whatever else. It's like people go, "Oh, I feel real uncomfortable talking to sellers," and then I'll see them at like a networking thing or just in real life or whatever else, just kind of whatever, and they're FaceTiming with their friends the whole time, chatting it up, just go up with it. Like they have it inside them. They're there. They're like feeling it. They're okay communicating.
Yeah.
Well, they're just okay. They're just not comfortable communicating with strangers because we don't have a lot of reps in that in life.
Yep.
Right.
You're right. You know, Munif.
But most people that have the self-awareness that says, listen, guys, that would be the worst thing in the world for me to pick up calls and for 199 out of 200 people to reject me and to yell at me and be mad at me. I don't need that energy in my life.
Right.
I don't mind it.
Right.
Like, listen, I listen, it took a while, but I know if I talk to 200 people, and this is the facts, guys, talk to 200 people, one person will do business with you. Okay. As long as you're going after distressed property owners. Okay. That's just the facts nationwide. I don't care where you're at. That's where it's going to happen. All right. Now, some areas are tougher to get a hold of those 200 people because they just blocked and put up the walls and everything. But whatever, 200 people, 199 are gonna not want you in their life
or change the audience.
Sure.
Right. Like for instance, okay, as wholesalers, would you say that you can get success if you talk to 50 homeowners a day, every day?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Would you say that a real estate agent would get success by talking to a homeowner talking to 50 homeowners a day?
Monique Walker.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this. Would it make more sense to talk to 50 agents who talk to 50 people today than talking to 50 people yourself?
Of course.
How many people do you effectively talk to if you talk to 50 agents who talk to 50 people?
It's exponential.
2,500.
It's exponential. And all the people that they've talked to and all the people, you know what I mean? Absolutely.
Right? So change your audience. Change your audience. I'll tell you what won't happen. An agent's not going to hang up the phone on you and tell you to go F yourself. Well, maybe a few of them will, but that's not going to be the majority of the responses.
I see where you're going.
Change the audience.
Well, that's the whole thing.
Yeah.
That's the whole thing. I mean, listen, you either are going direct to seller or you're getting referrals from real estate agents, and it's powerful. I mean, Jamil's built the biggest wholesaling company based on those principles. So, I mean, it's all just communicating. It's still talking to people. It's just, where are you going to direct it? What audience? I love it. Just me, Sandy. Yeah, it is. How do I find buyers for markets where there is not a lot of comps because most of the houses are old and have been renovated or on the market?
Well, then there would be comps if there have been renovated.
Right.
So I'm confused. Just me, Sandy. That doesn't really make sense, because if there's not a lot of comps, then there wouldn't be houses that have been renovated, or there wouldn't be houses on the market, right? So what I'm thinking you're saying is there's not a lot of comps in the area, period, right? In which case, if there's not a lot of comps in the area, period, your buyer is going to have the same problem you're having finding comps, which means your buyer is not going to see the value that you're trying to sell.
Yep.
Right. Remember, we are only selling potential as wholesalers. If we can't show what the potential is, then how do we sell that for a fee?
Right.
So I always tell people, if you don't have comps in the area where you're looking at deals, don't look at deals there.
Well, go to that big one. The guy needed to cancel Chi.
Yeah.
Chi
Brown.
Is it Chi? All right.
He's an Astro student.
Oh, got it. Okay. Recently had to cancel a contract I got from an agent after buyers pointed out that I had it locked up a bit high based on something I hadn't seen. How do you deal with having to cancel contracts on deals? This is my first cancellation and it racked my nerves for some reason. First of all, it should rack your nerves. It should. Yeah. Not forever. No. I mean, that's natural. That's good. That's you. That's you. Yep. That's whatever. That's you inside. That's your soul. It's like, that doesn't feel good, right? I don't want to commit to somebody and then break their heart on the back end. So one, obviously just do your absolute best to make sure that you are comping those properties out. I'm sure as an Astro student, they can come to somebody, you or the staff or somebody, to get a second look at the prices that you lock up things. So make sure that you're using the resources that you have available.
I know Chi really well.
Yeah.
And I know that he comped the house right.
Okay.
Because he's really good at getting value. I think what happened here, and like he said in there, is that something happened. There was a material fact that hadn't been disclosed to him in his negotiations when he gave the number. A material fact that he uncovered during the inspections, which, in all honesty, is a thing that happens.
It happens.
And so I think in that case, that's when you just be honest and you say, look, when I was talking to you about this house, we didn't talk about the fact that there was this big foundation crack. You didn't mention it to me. And when I gave you my number, that wasn't on the table.
Yeah.
I've gone to view the property now, and lo and behold, I can fit my entire fist into the crack in the foundation. So that's going to change things a little bit. And I'm sorry, but it does. And then because of that, I've gone into this property too high. Now, I don't want to just let this deal fall apart. I want to do right by you. I want to do right by the seller, but we're going to need to be at a lower price. Are you open to that? Is that something the seller is okay with? Because look, you're going to need to disclose this to the next person. Now that you've been made aware of it, you're going to have to disclose this situation to the next guy that comes in here. Wouldn't it make more sense to do the deal with me at a smaller price, at a lower price, rather than having to reinvent the wheel and go find somebody else and then have to disclose that whole problem to them? I think it makes more sense for us to work out a number. And you would be surprised how many people will take that reasoning.
Well, anytime that this has happened, tactically, I get a full-blown inspection.
Right.
And it is a bloodbath. And when a property owner sees 5, 6, 8, 10 pages of summary of everything that is found in that property, you can say, listen, I just spent $300-500, whatever it is, on this. This is for you. You can keep this. This is just so that you know what's going on with your property. But based on this, I can't buy the property at the current price. I would need to get it at this price based on what's going on here. All right. We did a visual. We looked at what we could, but we brought in an inspector to make sure that we understood what was happening here. And then that has always worked for us. We don't have to use it too often, but it's always helped. Yep. And maybe they don't come all the way down, but it's something that you can make a couple grand on. I've made like $2,500 on a deal early on, just because I was like, yeah, anything. I just want to help this seller out, make sure that it gets through this. The buyer's happy, the whole thing. I'll cut it down to whatever, not making anything, $100, $1, whatever. As long as the seller gets to sell his house and he's reasonable about the price and the buyer wins, it's going to get me back at some point. Maybe not financially right now, but in the future. So that's what I do.
She later says that they didn't want to lower the price, unfortunately, and that will also happen.
Of course.
But what I would say, Chi, is try that agent back in 3 weeks.
Yep.
High likelihood that deal is still available. High likelihood that the seller is willing to come down in price by that point if they haven't already sold it. So keep the follow up there. It's not dead yet.
Yeah. Love it. Sasha Moon, what's the case with homeowners who have recently taken out a mortgage on their home or two? Are these wise to go after? And what does it usually mean when people take out multiple mortgages? It just depends on how much equity they have, Sasha.
Yep.
You know, if they have a ton of equity, I mean, you never know. People own these properties for years and years and years. They're pulling out. They want to buy that RV. They want to they're retired. They're going to travel the world. They're going to play guitar. They're going to have fun.
Yeah.
Right? You know, but they didn't pull out all the equity. So
is that what you're going to do when you retire? Play guitar?
No. Listen, I've tried every instrument there is, and I am not good at any of them. That is it's not going to happen. Huh? Yeah, I was first chair saxophone though.
He's like, I want to buy an RV and play a guitar. I was like, that's the most white boy thing I've ever heard Brent say in my life.
Well, I don't know. I'm putting myself in the mind of the seller. I don't know. Anyway,
I love you, bro.
Anyway, Sasha. So, yeah, just rocking.
So good.
I would if I could. I would if I could. I'll tell you that. Anyway, yeah, if they have equity, go for it. You know, the thing that you want to watch for, maybe you could touch on this and just put it out, but reverse mortgages.
Yeah.
That's the one you have to watch out for, because I had a student that was heartbroken. He had 5 solid leads of different people that had reverse mortgages. I don't know if he just went after them or whatever else, but they've essentially sold their house already.
Correct.
Right?
Yeah. Reverse mortgage you can't undo a reverse mortgage because the property is actually in control of somebody else. and now they're just giving the person the equity to live off until they die.
Right.
That's it.
Right.
But first, second mortgages, not a problem. In fact, all it is a lien. All it is an encumbrance against the house. All that matters is that they owe less than what they're selling to you for.
Yep.
That's it.
Yep.
That's it.
Carlos, great question. How do you go about wholesaling tenant occupied properties? Cash for keys. I have a tired landlord lead that is open to sell, and I want to help her find the solution, but don't know how to approach this. All day, every day, Carlos. This is a lot. You know, it's interesting, Jamil. I went back and we do this, and Jackie Thornburg, my lead manager, does this every year, and she goes, okay, where did these, what was the situation of the property, and what was the problem here? And it's like 70% of our deals are tired landlords.
Yeah,
they just are.
Yep.
Whether they be vacant properties or tenant occupied. And so, yeah, a couple different things. One is, Carlos, you need to make sure that you are the friend of the tenant and also in between that and the landlord. Most times, tired landlords are tired because they're either just not the right personality to own a lot of properties and deal with humans living in their house. And that's how they see them, as just humans, just people. They're not building relationships there. They're not going deeper into that and really, being a part of their life. They're like, if you pay the rent, you get to stay type of thing. So, some people shouldn't be landlords and they're getting out. And that's why we do a lot of business with them. On the flip side, the tenant probably has been complaining about all sorts of things to the landlord. The landlord's like, you have under market rent. You want me to raise the rent? Then I'll fix the washing machine or whatever else. You know what I mean? So there's usually some kind of toxic kind of, relationship there between the landlord and the tenant. So you got to play middleman. And then if they, be like, listen, he's going to sell this property. You're going to have to move. How can I help you do that?
The trick that my team loves to use on landlord properties is negotiate a real good price with the landlord and say, we're going to close on it.
Yeah.
And you're not even going to have to worry about dealing with the tenant. We'll inform the tenant the property was sold.
Yep.
And then we will do right by them to make sure that they can get out and find a place and do all the things. And the landlords are like, you will what? You'll do what?
Yeah.
You'll take that on?
Yeah.
And you guys wouldn't believe,
it's a great negotiation.
Like you can get a guy down $20,000-$30,000 for what might cost you $2,000 in holding costs to accomplish.
Yeah.
Like truly. So that is every time you see a problem, there's an opportunity for a great wholesale deal.
Yeah. Yeah. But listen, the bigger the problem, the more valuable you are, Carlos.
Yep.
So we always look for the toughest, stickiest, kind of quicksandiest type of deal out there, because it's a lot of people avoid them and they don't have the expertise to be able to close it. And anybody that's in the coaching program, Astro or TTP or Sub 2, you've got the experience backing you up, so use it. Isaiah
asked, Jamil, when's the deadline to enter the Flip Me Challenge? I think they're still running the commercial, so go in there and get it. And when will we announce the winners? Well, because it's a sweepstakes, it needs to get done. The winner needs to get chosen with like an auditor, like somebody has to be there, and they need to make sure that how we chose the winner was correct, that we didn't, just pick our friend or our mom or something like that. So I know that there's logistics involved with it, but it's pretty soon. So go get your entries. And for those of you guys that don't know what he's talking about, Pace, myself, my sister, and Laura are going to flip a house. We're actually going to buy the house.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to pay for the renovation.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to let you walk through it, the entire process with us while we flip it. We're going to document it all. So here's what we're getting out of it. Hours and hours and hours of amazing content. Okay. But in return, we're going to let you keep all the proceeds of the flip.
Oh,
really? All of the proceeds of the flip. Yeah.
Doesn't
Up
matter.
to $100,000. Up to $100,000. And we do triple digit flips, baby.
Triple digit flips, baby.
So yeah. If you guys have always wanted to know how to fix and flip a house, go to flipme.com and enter.
That's incredible.
Enter. Be a part of this. It's like you got Pace,
Somebody's
you got me,
win.
you got my sister.
Somebody's going to win.
You got Laura teaching you how to flip houses. How could you go wrong?
Awesome. Let's just hit this dead horse again. Why can't you do a wholesale deal on a reverse mortgage?
Because they don't own the house anymore.
Right. Guys, it's not just a loan. I'm telling you, it's not just a loan. They literally have given up. They've sold it. They just live there still.
Yep. Yep.
They're just getting paid to live there by the company.
If
You're
it
not gonna
was
if Jamil, if you could do it, wouldn't you?
all day,
Right. You
all
can't.
day. You can't do it.
Right. Thank you. Guys, don't get confused here. Stay away from them. All right. What do we got? You got to just put something up, man. So Moran, there you go, buddy. Moran's crushing.
Oh, he's doing great.
Yeah, he's crushing.
I saw somebody else ask, Jamil, I saw you comping a deal on Straight Outta Comping. It was a 2-story.
Yeah.
And I had only a 1-story comp.
Yeah.
So Brent, let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
What has more if you have 2 houses in the same neighborhood,
Yes.
same square footage,
Yes.
okay?
1 story.
One is a single story, one is a 2-story. What's worth more?
1 story.
Why?
Because listen, some people can't do stairs.
Yes.
Some people like and if you go into a house that's the same size, but one is 1 floor, the other one is second, from a aesthetic, from an architect standpoint, the 1-story feels bigger. It feels better.
Because you had more square footage on more lawn, more lot, right?
Yeah.
So you typically have a bigger lot as well.
Yes.
And what is do you know the discount between a 2-story and a single story?
I mean, it's going to vary all
It's
over
about
the place,
20%.
Yeah.
It's about 20%.
Sure.
And that's from us checking the data, looking at it, house to house, square footage to square footage, neighborhood to neighborhood.
If you're going to comp a 2-story, you comp it with a 2-story.
Always.
If you have a ranch,
you comp it with a ranch.
Let me ask you this. This has been popping up a little, and we'll get to Shakira?
Love it.
I love it. Shakira 6. Anyway,
oh, baby, when you talk,
I am just these. Yeah, I'll tell you what. Mondays. Anyway, let me ask you this: finished basements.
Yes,
I've seen this more and more and more that they're not included on the total livable square footage when you're doing comps.
Yes.
So when you have one that has a finished basement versus a property that doesn't have a finished basement. Now, remember, basements typically don't have a lot of the bathrooms and kitchens.
It's not
and
the
all
same
these
finish
things,
quality.
Right?
Yeah.
So I've been telling everybody, and it seems to be working out, but just let me know. You can clean this up a lot. I've been saying, listen, if it's a finished basement, give them 10 grand.
I like that. I think that's
depending on the size.
Yes.
If it's under like 1,500 square feet, give them 10 grand. You know what I mean? Because you could have another 1,500 square feet under that house.
You could.
That's clear.
You could.
You're
the thing that I've noticed, and that an appraiser will only give maximum up to 50% of value for basements and ADUs.
And it is 50%.
Yep.
So it's like a guest house.
Yep.
Got it.
So 50% is the number, and it has to be fully finished.
Right.
I think Brent's 10K is probably better because what basements are ever finished to the same quality as the upstairs?
Well, and a lot of the time the basements are smaller.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Little suspended ceilings.
It's where the laundry's at. It's where storage is at.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not like it's decked out, beautiful high ceilings. Like that's
like,
if
you were the kid that grew
That's
up in
a
the
different
basement, that you were just a little bit off compared to the other kids who grew up on the top floor.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Right?
It took you a little bit longer.
Yeah. Like our buddy Jesse, he grew up in the basement.
Did he?
Yeah.
That's fantastic. I got to ask him about that. I got to ask him. Derek, I saw you. I see that question there about the 500K that we've made from texting this year. That's actually the topic real quick of Wednesday's show. We're going to do another mid-year. We did all the new laws that came with texting, but we've still been very successful with it. So we're going to break down those strategies on the live show, 10 a.m. Mountain Standard Time on the Brent Daniels YouTube channel. Make sure that you check that out. We're going to be talking about texting, getting, what are the right strategies right now for texting? Right.
Awesome.
Are you guys texting when you're with your students? Are you texting, or is it mostly calling agents? Are you texting them at all?
It's mainly agents. Yeah, we text agents.
Okay.
Remember, when you're texting agents, they're a commercial business, right? They've publicized their phone number.
Totally.
So it's totally okay.
Game.
You don't even need an opt-in from an agent to market to them.
Yeah.
Because they're in the business of receiving, and you're the buyer. You're there. You're the client. You're not selling anything. You're asking to be sold to.
Yeah.
Right. So the law is completely inverse. You never even have to worry about reaching out to an agent.
I don't know if you can short sale a reverse mortgage. I've never heard that. Could you imagine?
Maybe.
I mean, maybe, but I don't know. Stay away from them. Why are you guys messing around? Oh gosh, that's
I
yeah,
love it.
Derek, great, thank you, buddy. I'm gonna deep dive that. It respectfully, it's a 20-minute conversation, so we'll get into that and answer whatever questions and comp and everything. And you got your show Sundays,
Yes.
comping straight out of comping.
Straight out of comping, bro.
So that is, how long does that show? 90 minutes?
It's an hour right now.
Okay.
You know, I'm wanting to make it a little bit longer. I broached the subject with Emily, and she started to sweat, and she got real uncomfortable in her seat, and I could tell that if I want to make the show longer, it's not going to be with her.
I love this.
So
yeah.
DeMonte asked thoughts on option contracts. You know, I'm all about an option contract.
Let's do it.
The best case scenario and when to execute. Saw Manif execute the perfect one on the Closer Olympics and found so much value. So guys, option contracts can be used in a couple of different instances, right? First and foremost, I'll use an option when I'm doing a deal, a JV deal with another wholesaler. So let's just say,
break it down.
So Brent Daniels goes and gets a deal under contract direct to seller from TTPing.
Right. Boom.
He brings it to Jamil.
Yeah.
And he says, hey, Jamil, I got this deal. I have it locked up at, well, it doesn't matter what I have it locked up at.
Right.
But I want 170 for it.
Sure.
Okay.
Yep.
And I say, hey, Brand, I'm looking at this at 170. I can't be a buyer.
Right.
It's a little bit too tight for me to want to commit to you and buy it.
Not enough meat on the bone.
There's not enough meat on the bone, but I might have a buy and hold guy that would be interested in looking at this.
Okay.
I'm going to send you an option.
Yeah.
So that I can market this to my buyers.
Yep.
Above 170. So I send Brent Daniels an option at 170K.
Yep.
And now I have equitable interest. What essentially Brent has done is transferred equitable interest over to me so I can go and market that contract to my buyers at a price above 170,000. That's one way to use an option. The second way to use an option is say you're talking to a homeowner. And again, they are wanting too much money for the deal and you don't want to make a commitment to them. You don't want to say, hey, I'll do this deal, because they want a little bit too much.
Right.
However, you might have somebody in your network that could do the deal, that might pay a little bit more for it. So what you say to the homeowner is, rather than give you a purchase and sale agreement, which is a promise, which is where I'm promising to buy your house, I already know that you want too much money. But instead of doing that, I'm going to give you an option at the price you're looking for. And then I'm going to go out into my network and I'm going to try to get that price for you. If I'm successful, I'll bring you the buyer and I'll take a small fee for my troubles.
Love it.
That's the option.
Love it.
All the option is doing is a placeholder.
Yeah.
It's a placeholder.
Yep.
That's it. And it transfers equitable interest. It allows you to share equitable interest with the contract holder. Makes sense?
Love it.
It's not assigning equitable interest. It's sharing equitable interest.
It gives you a little bit of wiggle room emotionally in my mind, because you're not committing to the property owner. You're not saying, yes, I will buy your house like this, but listen, I can't buy it at that price. I need it at 150. You want it at 170. What I can do is I can put it out there. If you give me an option, I can go to work for you, but I can't do it without an option.
Yep.
And that sets the expectations. Don't move anything. Don't pack anything. Don't, call the utility companies to shut off the power. Don't do any of that stuff until I tell you that we can go 100%.
If anybody can help, Roger Bremer, he's got a probate deal in New York. He's got a seller who I think the father passed away, left no will. Guys, squad up with Roger.
Attorney, where's Shakira's question? I think we blew right past it. There we go. Is it possible to place a property under contract when the owner has passed away? Home is paid off, but there aren't any close relatives. There are no records of probate on the home either.
I don't know who you'd put the property under contract with in this instance, because again, you've got no heirs. You've got no heirs.
Right.
So what would you do in this circumstance, Brent? Try to track one down?
I mean, it just depends on who's handling the property. I mean, at some point, somebody's going to slap some sort of notice on the front of that house.
Yeah.
Whether it's a court that the city or the county is going to take that property.
That's essentially what happens.
That's what's going to happen.
In those circumstances, when somebody's abandoned a property and they have no heirs to take control of it, ultimately it would take some time. Years and years will pass. But what will happen is enough violations, code violations will happen, and they'll start to uncover that there's nobody there. So the city will ultimately take the property and then they will sell it off.
I would go to Upwork or Fiverr or whatever. I'd find a VA that has full access to TLO. And then I would have them do a search on that address and pull up everybody that's attached to that owner and any kind of relatives. They do this whole spider webby, creepy thing that like tracks everybody. Truly, they do. And I would see if there's anybody in there that you could have a conversation with, that they can go to the city or go to in front of the court and say, hey, listen, I'm a relative here. Is there any way I could get a piece of this deal?
TLO is powerful.
Yeah. No, I would try to find one of those relatives and do that. But again, a lot of work, but if, it could be worth it. So, yeah, there you go. Kara, hello. In an area Kara, that is popular for both fix and flips and rentals, how should I know how to price the property to the seller and end a buyer as a potential rental or flip?
Condition.
There you go.
Condition.
Love it.
The house is in need of repair. It's dated, original condition. It's, it's got deferred maintenance. It's a flip all day.
Mm-hmm.
The property is in great condition, but the seller wants close to retail. That could be a possible buy and hold. But here's the other thing. You've got to, if buy and hold buyers have specific formulas, right? They've got specific formulas that on what makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
For instance, here in Arizona, most buy and hold buyers, they're going to want at minimum in terms of gross rents.
Mm-hmm.
For every $100,000 they spent, they're going to want $1,000 a month in gross rents, because that's going to ultimately shake out to about $680, $690 in net rent.
Yep.
Right. So think of it in those terms. Do the numbers make sense for a rental? If they don't, then you've got to look at this as a flip. And if they don't make sense for a flip, then it's not a deal for us.
I think you hit it. Just reflex. It's condition.
Always.
If a lot of times when people are building portfolios, they don't want to slow down the process to totally renovate a property, which isn't their business. Remember, owning real estate is a whole different side of it, right? Fixing and flipping and running crews and selling these properties and getting the profits. That's a whole other thing. If you try to get a hybrid of both of these two, which happens, that's fantastic. You can have that conversation with them, but they're just not that as many buyers as these two camps. So if you find somebody that's like, yeah, I'd love to get a deal and put sweat equity in and rent it out, great. Then either way, they're going to have to put significant capital in if the condition's rough. Yeah. Maran, would you say that option agreements are better for selling deals to people that are more retail buyers or high paying professionals rather than an assignment?
No, I think the option is just, look, I'm not fully committed. That's it. I'm not fully committed to purchase, so I have to option. And when you're selling a deal, you're actually transferring equitable interest, right? When you're transferring a deal, then you always have to go by assignment or by PSA. So an option's not going to transfer equitable interest. It's going to share equitable interest, but it's not going to transfer. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Does that make sense to you guys? If you need me to expand on that, I can. But
and Rylas is here, our probate attorney. Thank you, Rylas. Great to see you, buddy. You need to find the beneficiaries of the state and get one of them appointed by the court to be the personal representative. That's right.
Rylas, do you have any tips that you can put in the chat on how people can find beneficiaries?
Yeah.
What would be some of the ways? And Rylas, would you also be a person or a resource? And if you are not a resource in New York, what states would you be a resource to help people to do business with them on probates?
If there are no heirs, it goes back to the state. Yes, do a search, maybe hire a company to find the family members. That's right. That is right.
Amazing.
It's awesome.
How cool that we get probate attorneys on Wholesale Hotline answering questions for you guys on probates. Well, Rylas, you're amazing.
He's an investor the best. As well. I mean, he's got
Rylas was very likely somebody who watched Wholesale Hotline 1.
Yeah, that's crazy.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
He's still here, 91 episodes
91 episodes. Thank you, Rylas.
We love you, bro.
We love you so much. And the support has been unbelievable. Thank you. There you go. What do we got? Okay. Well, anyway, it's with 6 minutes left, kind of putting a bow on today's topic.
There's a lot of great questions today.
A lot of great questions. Profit and purpose. Getting that blend. You know what I mean? Getting that blend. Getting feeling good on the inside. Yes, you're doing well financially. Yes, your family's, gets to have more opportunities, and that's fantastic. But you couple that with, and you're fulfilled, that's not happiness, that's joy.
Brent,
That's not a flash in the pan. That's not like a rocket that just explodes real fast. This is a rocket ship that
Right.
takes you somewhere else.
Right,
You know what
right.
I mean?
well,
Not to do with the Astro flipping logo, but
but
it is.
when I met you, Brent, I was
Yeah.
making ridiculous amounts of money,
Right.
and you know that.
Yeah.
But what I can say I was missing
Mhm.
was purpose.
Sure.
And I am so grateful to have come into your contact because of Brent, I found a purpose in my life, which was sharing the knowledge I had, because he put it on me in such a way that it was my responsibility to share it.
Yeah.
And when you look at life as a responsibility to share, and when you have a magical skill, when you've got something that other people should know, that other people should learn,
Yeah.
then it's your responsibility to share it. And even if you're not a master, even if you're just learning, if there's something about you, and this was another thing that Pace said when we were in Central Florida that I think was just genius.
Mm-hmm.
He was talking to a woman that was really down on herself because she's like, I don't know what to offer. Well, he's like, well, what are you good at? What things are you good at? She's like, well, I'm really good at title work. I'm really good at understanding how to solve problems when they happen in a transaction and the wheels start to fall off. Well, take that superpower
Mm-hmm.
and go and offer it to everybody in the community.
Yeah.
And create value for yourself in that way. So guys,
Yep.
This is your task for the week. Do an inventory of the things that move the needle for you in your life.
Yep.
What gives you happiness? What makes you giddy to wake up in the morning and get out and do? What does it for you? And again, this is always going to be pointed towards being able to share, right? This is not something that, it's not like, oh, you know what I really like to do? I like to wake up and I like to go to the casino and I like to bet on red. No, that's not what we mean. Okay. We mean, what do you really like to do?
Right.
What really gets you going every day?
Well, and I think that we're designed to be of service to our communities, and I think that the more that we block that, the more that we hide that, the more that we don't have confidence that people really need our voice. They really need our
What if
efforts.
my
They really
purpose was
need
just to be a dad?
Right.
Is
Great.
that, are you okay? Do you accept that?
Absolutely. It just depends on what you're doing. It's providing value to the community. Your son, your daughter, your family is part of the community. And remember, hustle is a season. It's not a life. It's not a lifestyle. It's a season. So if you're taking time off to raise your young kids, it doesn't mean that you'll never be able to go out there and talk to a lot of people and provide a lot of value and in return get a lot of income coming in. It's seasonal. And we should enjoy all of these amazing things that we can, but you have to have your head above water.
Right.
You have to be able to pay for your responsibilities.
Right.
You need to be able to have something, or at least have, a foundation that you pull from that helps you live your life. You know what I mean? So if you're in that season, great, be in that season, be fulfilled with that season.
Correct.
Don't be like, oh, I'm raising my kids, but I wish I was like, driving Lamborghinis and going to like Vegas and shit. Right.
Do the damn thing.
Yeah. What are some challenges or issues searching for the oldies? What are some of the challenges or issues that arise when you have a real estate license and are cold calling sellers trying to get them under contract to assign I'm in New Jersey? Well, just check with the local, check with your local real estate attorney and see if there's any disclosures that need to be made there. Here in Arizona, we just have to disclose it on the purchase contract that we are licensed, that we hold active licenses. So I would just check to see that. If you have to tell them the first time, it doesn't matter. Just listen, I'm not here to like represent you to sell your property. I want to give you an offer on your property. I'm just also licensed because it's a good strategy as a real estate entrepreneur.
And something that you might want to consider, look, searching for oldies, because you are a licensed agent, you might need to follow the do not call registry and make sure that you're not calling people that have opted out of receiving calls. But otherwise, you're good, dude.
Yeah.
Or dudette.
And you have a huge advantage If you listen to Jamil during this conversation of calling all the other agents around town and getting their ugliest properties because you want them.
And you're licensed. So can you imagine how warm the reception will be? Hi, I'm so-and-so from Century 21.
Yeah.
I'm looking for the worst listing you've ever seen. Have you ever walked into a house and had to throw out your Louboutins? Yeah, I have too. But guess what? I figured out what to do with those houses. Send me your next one. You got anything coming to market I can look at right now?
That's it. Boom. There you go.
Telling you.
Yep.
$1 million pitch there. Actually, $100 million
brings
pitch.
up a good, I like this as well. And we do this as well on all of our contracts. I mean, it's baked into our contract, but that you're doing this for profit. Absolutely. Absolutely. That way it's all disclosed. So everybody knows that you are buying this with the purpose of selling it for a profit. And then that protects you. I love it. And that's it. Jamil, 90 minutes, you and I. What a great show. That was awesome.
Yeah, so good,
awesome.
guys.
Yeah.
Look, it is imperative. It's imperative that each of you do the thing that Brent was talking about at the beginning of today's show. Figure out what your purpose is. Why are you doing the damn thing? Why are you doing this business? And remember that. If you are not finding a way to add value to the community, if you're not finding a way to serve people, then it's probably not the highest and best purpose. So be honest with yourself and figure out, how can you share your gifts with the world? How can you be a better person and make others better along with you?
That's right.
Brett.
And just don't go out there to do deals.
Correct.
Go out there to make a difference. For real. And you will be so fulfilled by this business. It'll just, it's going to affect every part of your life. It's going to spill over, and everybody's going to want to be around you because you're so positive. You have so much energy, and you have the freedom to go after whatever opportunities you want. So don't just go out there to get deals. Go out there to make a difference. We love you guys. Till next week. I'll see you guys Wednesday, 10 a.m. Mountain Standard Time. Talking about text blasting. You're going to see him Sunday on Compton, straight out of Compton. All right,
91. We're out.
Love you guys.
Or just say squat up.
So squat up and enjoy the show.
Yeah.
Okay.
1, 2, 3.
So squat up and enjoy the show.
What are you doing?
I didn't say that thing.
Why?
I don't know.
Okay.
So squat up and enjoy the show.
Cool. I think we should use the one where Jamil doesn't say anything.